It is indeed an honor to moderate this session today, which has brought together the most relevant agenda when we talk about 100 smart cities and how the way forward for the next 4,000 cities in India. So we have seen, just to setting up the context here, Smart Cities is one of the program which can be constituted as objective and outcome-driven program, which combines multiple projects into one single mission to make life better for everyone. It's how to make city livable. And with that kind of initiative, I think this is the first of this kind where multi-dimension, digital, non-digital, infrastructure development all put together in one single mission. And obviously, it was left to the state and cities to design their own program, design their own project, and obviously implement. Without much further getting into it, today we're going to talk about, sir, Rajat sir. You all know, sir, is MD CEO for National Industrial Corridor Development Corporation, NICDC. National Industrial Corridor Development is India's most ambitious infrastructure program aiming to develop new industrial cities as smart cities. And I'm sure you all know Mumbai-Delhi corridor, Dholera, Bitkin, the smart cities which are greenfield, brownfield cities. Today we're going to understand from sir about the learning and challenges in the developing those cities and infrastructure of this kind. We have Raushan sir. He's the CEO of Bhopal Smart City. He himself is a civil engineer by education and obviously the administrator running experience of two smart cities, Ujjain and Bhopal. We will learn from your experience, sir, about what are the challenges and how technology has helped Ujjain as well as Bhopal transforming this. And then we have Aswathy. Aswathy is one of the policy advocacy from ITDP. She's a managing director. She has been advising the government and the stakeholders with the national, state, and city and governments, providing them technical assistance on sustainable and equitable urban mobility. Her work has contributed to creating streets safe for walking and cycling, implementing parking reforms, and building support for high-quality, sustainable mass transit. So we'll learn from her what are her recommendations for the policymakers here and how probably we can make more transport friendly. Sir, we'll start with you, sir, Rajat sir. In my experience, sir, NICDC started a smart city journey way ahead even Government of India planned for the smart cities. Like be it Dholera, be it Bitkin, Shendra, Auric, all these cities was, started much before. The master plan was prepared. Even a lot of industry collaboration, consultations happened before the mission was announced. So what is your experience and how probably, next 4,000 cities, how they can probably look at learning from your development?
Thank you, Akhilesh. So, first I would just like to correct, it's not that we started before government, we are part of government, so government started through us. So, I would just like to brief for 2 minutes what we do. So, though the name is National Industrial Corridor Development Corporation, what we do after analyzing the whole, we take the corridor approach, the whole area, and then see the logistics over there, see the viable locations for industrial cities, and then we develop greenfield industrial smart cities. The concept came somewhere around 2008-9, but the actual work started sometime around 2014. Over last 1 decade, we have been able to develop 4 cities. You might have heard of Dholera, which is not just a smart city, but also India's first semicon city. There is a particular portion in Greater Noida. There is Vikram Udyog Puri Ujjain, which you might have seen, Raushan. And there is a smart city near Aurangabad called Aurangabad Industrial City. So Actually, we start with a clean slate. That is a very, very big advantage for us. We are not riddled with the legacy issues which most of the Indian metros or tier 2, tier 3 cities are riddled with, and those 4,000 cities that you are talking about. But on the other hand, what we do and what we have been able to do in last 1 decade, it can set the benchmark that this is how a smart city would ultimately look like. So in our cities, what we have developed till now, and which is also the template on which the other smart cities are being improved, that we lay the whole industrial infrastructure, whether it is road, power, gas, sewage treatment plant, raw water, treated water, central effluent treatment plant, environmental clearances, lakes, waterways, cycling tracks, medians, parks. They have dedicated green zones. Almost all the cities have somewhere around 15% of green zones. So this is how the city would look like. But the main thing, that is population, the industries, that is still a work in progress. Our mandate is to create infrastructure ahead of demand. In many cases, we see that sometimes investor comes and then we create infrastructure. Through NICDC, what the federal government plans to do or has been doing is to create all this industrial infrastructure ahead of demand and then showcase the kind of infrastructure that India has been able to create, what all we have to offer. And in developing this infrastructure, we take global expertise for master planning, global expertise for all kinds of design and development, and all the relevant parameters. Like, in fact, now we are thinking about this fourth generation, Industry 4.0, how to integrate those elements, how to integrate IoT. We already have central command and control center for monitoring of your utilities. All those things are already there. I have been saying that there are 4 smart cities that are developed, but more importantly, we are working on around 30 more. And that's why the use of the term ambitious program that I said. Sometimes I even say that it's audacious even, that to think of developing such number of smart cities. See, till 2014, you can count on your hand, there may be 6, 7, 8 greenfield cities. But with this program, government is planning to develop more than 30 industrial smart cities. And I have been using the term city and not park because it's not just for industries. The idea is that people would live there. So in Dholera, there are recreational zones. There is tourism, the areas for tourism, it's very close to Lothal. So the idea is not that people would just work there and there is only plug and play infrastructure. The idea is that the people would live there and there would be a thriving community. In all my smart cities, we have around 20 to 30% of residential and commercial zones also. So this is the concept of smart city, that the template on which NICDC is working. It overlaps a lot with the overall smart city mission template that is there. But yes, we are lucky and we are fortunate in the sense that we don't have to deal with the legacy issues. So this was about my project.
No, it's very inspiring, sir, because the kind of development which has happened, and the new Delhi-Mumbai corridor, and so this is going to touch the lot of cities and change the landscape of mobility. And what is your experience, and if you can touch upon like how this is going to change the entire city landscape from a mobility perspective, the people experience perspective, and obviously the perception of the country itself?
So what I generally have seen and experienced as far as corridors are concerned, so I would be answering, maybe Raushan is better suited for the intra-city thing. But for intercity, like you might have heard about the kind of, in the Delhi-Mumbai corridor, in the Delhi-Mumbai expressway, now MORTH, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, is also installing chargers, EV chargers, I think at a distance of every 100 kilometers, if I am not wrong. So that is the kind of mobility that we from government side are planning, we are encouraging, and also showing the private sector the way ahead. And in the kind of if the capital expenditure required is huge, then government itself is doing that, which, so I don't think that on national highways, expressways, private sector would be able to do. If it is able to do, it's good. But within the intra-city mobility, if you see, and intra-city logistics. So I also deal little bit of the logistics part through our platform called Unified Logistic Interface Platform. There we are seeing a lot of private sector participation. And that is what is changing the landscape. And if you want to see the anecdotal evidence, you can see like the courier landscape has now changed. Whatever home deliveries are now happening, we don't see bikes, generally these petrol bikes. We generally see all the courier boys and girls, they are coming on EV bikes. So that is a kind of change that is happening. We see a lot of charging stations coming up. In fact, if I am not wrong, all these petroleum companies, whether it is BPCL, IOCL, HPCL, they are also installing charge. They have a fixed target that in next 2-3 years, so many number of petrol pumps shall be having electric vehicle chargers also. So there is a very, very, what should I say, irreversible shift towards electric mobility. This is encouraged by the government through CapEx. This is also encouraged by our tax policies, like the tax on electric vehicle is much lesser than the normal vehicle, the conventional IC engine vehicles. So this is how it is being done, and I think the policy is very, very clear in this regard, and government itself is doing, as well as showing the path to private sector and easing the way in which private sector can invest in all this.
Sir, just a follow-up question on private sector investment point of view. Like a lot of PPP, financial sustainability, a lot of initiatives being planned and obviously encouraged from the government of India for every cities, etc. Is there any PPP initiative or success stories, sir, which you want to share with us?
So, all across the country in various state government as well as federal government programs, there are a lot of PPP success stories. If I talk about my own corporation, there is a huge interest in logistic parks. A lot of state governments as well as federal government through us only, and as well as NHAI, NHML that we call. So all these logistic parks that are coming in India, they are generally on PPP mode. And unlike 10 years back, 20 years back, when you had to call the PPP bidders and tell them, look, this is the plan and you please bid for this. Now government has generally I see that we have a problem of plenty. People are willing to, those PPP bidders are willing to pay upfront as well as part of their revenue over the revenue model. Our national highway program, if you see, is again a success story of PPP. But now with this so all these are construction highways where yes, the user traffic is going to increase and there is a lot of visibility of future revenue stream. But such thing happening in our ports, in our logistic parks, that is a very, very good sign for Indian economy, that not just government, but even the private sector, and not just Indian private sector, but all across the globe. Now, you see all the big logistic companies are willing to bet on India, are willing to take projects on PPP mode on India, and there is a very good competition between domestic players as well as international players as far as logistics is concerned. So logistics is one sector which again, not driven by government, but by private sector participation, we are seeing very good results.
Thank you, sir. I think it's very encouraging because obviously a lot of cities are planning the PPP initiatives. Uh, you, as rightly said, problem of plenty.
Yes.
So we need to choose the model, correct, and benefit
Yes,
to the
that
citizen.
is very important. Choosing the correct model, choosing the correct location. In fact, I would like to add now, recently I saw, I think, Tamil Nadu. So till now we were seeing that governments have to invest in plug and play infrastructure and then industries would come. Now we are also dabbling in models where government is bidding out the industrial park itself on PPP mode. So maybe not all states, but definitely those states where there is a huge demand for industrial land, there even in building an industrial city or industrial park on PPP mode is becoming feasible now. So these are very, very good signs for Indian economy and our country as a whole.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for in such encouraging perspective on NICDC. I would like to bring Raushan, sir. Sir, MP has been innovative in terms of when it comes to a smart city. It's one of the first probably to look at the integrated smart city from a state perspective, looking at various innovative AI-based solution. And you've been administrator at the Ujjain probably. And we all have seen after development of Mahakal corridor, the lot of footfall has increased. So can you share some view about how technology or I Command Control Center, ICCC has helped you to manage those crowd management or initiatives you have taken, sir?
Thank you, Avinash. First, I would like to highlight the impact of this smart city project in Ujjain, where I worked last. This project highlights the whole impact it has created in terms of transforming the canvas of not only the city but the whole region. Because in terms of expenditure and the investment there, last year the estimates are around 3,000 crores of expenditure have been incurred in the city, and this all can be dedicated to the development of this Mahakal corridor. In terms of footfall, earlier I think everyone knows about the Lord Mahakal temple at Ujjain. Earlier the footfall prior to this inauguration of the corridor was at an average 50,000 per day, but now it has gone up to 2 lakhs per day. And on special occasions like Mahashivratri and such festive vacations, the footfall is around 5 lakhs to 8 lakhs every day. So this shows the impact of this whole project, where one agency has created such a huge infrastructure. In terms of the diverse projects, I would say the corridor has all sort of projects. For example, we have mural walls project, we have parking, we have rejuvenation of Rudrasagar Lake, we have open spaces, we have public amenities. So in terms of the diversity also, it was a great learning experience at the city. And I would also like to highlight the multiplier effect of this whole project in terms of various investments, which Rajat sir also highlighted in terms of Vikram Puri Udyog area. And other projects also, for example, recently Government of India has put up a grant in terms of Unity Mall to every state. In MP, Ujjain is the place where this Unity Mall of around 300 crores is being set up. Other projects are also being targeted at Ujjain. For example, we have a ropeway of 209 crores from Ministry of Roads and Highway Transport is being put up in Ujjain. So the multiplier effect is huge. All sort of investment from private sector, from government sector are being targeted in Ujjain. So not only in terms of cultural and religious significance, but in terms of economic significance, which is being manifested in terms of hospitality and public transport, is growing there in phenomenal terms. I would also like to highlight the challenges it has thrown in front of us. For example, sir was also speaking about the intra-city infrastructure and especially public transport and the pedestrian movement. Because when you have such a huge footfall, you have to come up with special solutions. So here comes in the use of technology. For example, crowd management and public movement was a major challenge. So through smart city, we came up with a IT initiative in terms of crowd management and surveillance system. This whole project was termed as Trinetra, and it has mainly it had 500 high quality cameras with a control room, that is ICCC center, and we used 9 AI analytics also in that. So people can, the head count is a major thing which can be used in terms of crowd management, so that we can we can plan our resources in a better way in terms of parking, in terms of approach roads, and in terms of entry gates also. So apart from this head count, we have this geo-referencing also. In such corridors and in such places, people tend to touch the objects, climb on the walls, climb around statues to just get selfies and other such kind of things. So we have geo-reference tools also, so that whenever someone crosses there, so we have this automated alarms also, so that we can stop such kind of activities. So this facility is running in a very effective way there, and it highlights the use of effective tools in terms of technology and latest advancements, which can be used to manage such huge infrastructure in a great way. So this whole project is seeking new involvements also, new technologies also, which are evolving in their own way. So in all, I think this was a great learning experience, and if we look towards future, the other cities of MP also are in touch with these all 7 smart cities, so that these hand holding can be done and such projects may be emulated in a better way in other smaller cities.
Thank you, sir. I think Ujjain has a significance religious, and obviously the experience of the user and citizen who are visiting Ujjain has significantly improved in terms of the development, infrastructure development which has happened. Technology obviously is one of the enabler. Sir, just wanted to understand one more connecting point to this. Is there any PPP initiative or financial sustainability point of view initiative have been taken in Ujjain, which you can highlight, or any revenue generating opportunity? Because every city is struggling or looking at those avenues, how you can generate more revenues from the city infrastructure and city plan which has been, or the technology which has been implemented so far.
Good that you highlighted this. We have already started these things in the city at Ujjain. Basically, whenever some visitor is coming, some tourist is coming, he's seeking information at what time we have to go there, at what place I shall go there. So in terms of technology, we are coming up with a city app, and that is purely through PPP. And in that app, the tourists can get the hotel availability, the parking locations which are available, and which are all the places where they can visit and they can spend some time with their families. So this was one of the initiative. Another area was we had a very old and heritage structure, and that structure was conserved through Smart City itself. And now we are working in terms of private players so that they can develop this whole structure in terms of a heritage hotel, and that can be not only a point of attraction to the tourist, but also it can serve as a major location for tourists to stay there. And this structure was in the Mahakal corridor premises itself, so people can stay there and experience the whole area, whole cultural significance of the temple and other activities which are being taken up there. So PPP mode, in terms of PPP mode, we are attracting, trying to involve the private players so that the government funds are, can be utilized as some other projects, and private investors can come up and they can shape the projects in their own way so that it can be profitable to them also.
Thank you so much, sir. My last point and last question to you, sir, is Bhopal was one of the pioneer smart city when it comes to blue-green infrastructure, and being the lake city, water reservoir, and other development activities. And Bhopal also has taken a lot of POCs in terms of sustainability quite early on. What is your experience, and is there any rollout, or what is the feedback on, and what is probably other smart cities can learn from it?
Bhopal, the city of Bhopal is known for it's a lake city. And in terms of smart city projects, I would say that Bhopal is in very advanced stage because once the projects of a city are done and they are completed, so the smart city is looking up to the new projects, the new planning and the new avenues to work around. So in terms of revenue generation also, Bhopal has a unique experience in terms of land monetization. So Bhopal Smart City owns around 100 acres of land in the heart of the city. So those who may be familiar with the city, it's around New Market area. And we are in the process of monetizing the plots there. This whole area is, is dedicated as ABD area. And the smart city has created infrastructure in terms of roads, in terms of drains, in terms of lights and all those things. And now the sellable plots have been developed, and the revenue from these plots is being used in terms of developing new infrastructure in the city and new developments in terms of other lake rejuvenation also is one of the areas. And there are other heritage structures also which are being renovated and conserved so that the tourists visiting to the city can have a good experience. So in terms of land monetization, I think Bhopal Smart City has pioneered in a great way, and it will be a good experience for other agencies also in the country, I think.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it's quite inspiring because the kind of work which has been done in Ujjain and Bhopal, it's actually a lot of things got replicated in other smart cities, and obviously the learning for next 4,000 cities which are getting planned from Government of India. Coming to you, Aswathy, you have been working as a policy advocacy, and you have been engaged with multiple smart city from a smart mobility point of view, cycle track, a lot of initiative which probably you have, be part of 100 smart cities already for last 3-4 years. What is your experience? And probably we have sir who's a developer point of view, and we have Raushan sir from a administrator point of view. What is your suggestion probably from a policy point of view?
Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for inviting me and the team for this discussion. So, about 10 years back, when the Smart Cities mission was starting off, the streets in Indian cities were basically conduits for moving vehicles from one place to the other. Though the NUTP spoke about moving people and not moving vehicles, the priority being on moving people, that was not reflected in the action of our cities. However, in the first stage of the smart cities itself, cities like Chennai, Pune really looked at creating pilots where they were transforming streets and really prioritizing, converting them into welcoming spaces which are thriving for our citizens with safe footpaths, cycle tracks where possible, organized parking management, ensuring that your intersections are safe, and also ensuring that these infrastructure are useful for people from children who are 8 years old to elderly who are 80 years old. And the first phase, while we learnt of these pilots from a few cities, in the second phase, the last 5 years, we've been looking at how this can be scaled up from just a few of these pilot cities to cities across the country. So we've been working with the Smart Cities mission on 3 challenges: the India Cycles for Change, Street for People, and Transport for All challenge, where the aim was to provide capacity building guidance in very in very small pieces, which is digestible by the engineering teams, with clear focus on outputs and outcomes. So the 3 pieces that we focused was that one is action, which focused on ensuring that the cities built infrastructure, but 2, to look at foundational elements where policies, plans, guidelines are created so that the cities continue to do this work going forward in the next decade as well. And 3rd, very importantly, communication. So looking at ways in which as cities are creating these plans and executing them, ensuring that there is participation of political leaders, of citizens, so that each of these projects are built with the ownership of their citizens and their political leaders. So this has been the focus. Now, in the last leg, we are making sure that all of this learning is brought together in compendiums. So we've just put together the Streets Compendium of Indian Cities, looking at about 50 to 75 best practice examples. So this can then be taken to the 4,000 cities like you were saying as well. Also in the Transport for All challenge, which is a challenge where we are bringing together startups as well as cities and looking at digital solutions for improving public transportation. We're also looking at how cities can look at innovative means of finding solutions, not just from internally, but also looking at the ecosystem at large and how they can find solutions from them as well.
Thank you so much. I think Rajat sir has to go for engagement. We'll continue with the session, but thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Can I request the organizers to probably... Okay, Aswathy, what we have seen in smart cities, and the more urbanization, the more people moving towards cities, mobility is remain challenge. The more infrastructure developed, the more problem you create. The more people move to the cities and urban population is increased. What is your suggestion from a policy perspective? How to plan this better from an urban planning perspective, from a mobility perspective, from transit-oriented development point of view? If you can throw some light on that.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, Akhilesh. So the thing is, our cities are urbanizing and our populations are booming at a pace that we've never seen happen before. Now, what we do need to create is that we need to really look at creating compact cities which are electrified. So we need to look at strengthening our public transportation, ensuring that they are well accessible by safe footpaths, cycle tracks, which are very seamlessly connected with mass transit. But at the same time, we also need to look at how we can reduce this massive shift to private vehicles. So we need to really embrace travel demand measures such as parking management, congestion pricing, or low emission zones as well, and focus on how cities can be planned with transit-oriented development, compact cities. But at the same time, whatever vehicles do remain on our streets, we need to have a future orientation to convert them into electrified modes of vehicles as well. So it's just a compact cities electrified scenario which would get us to a future where our cities are congestion-free, pollution-free, and are safe for our children, our women, our elderly, our persons with disabilities as well.
Thank you so much. I think that's a very valid point. The livability index of the city has to increase, and obviously the mobility going to play the larger role in this. Avanish, just one follow-up question on that. Like you've been working with the policy makers, do you think Government of India is, I'm not aware of, but if you can highlight something, if you a think tank or something who's recommending something or some recommendation which probably given to the Government of India from a mobility perspective, is there anything which you want to touch upon?
So yeah, there are multiple organizations, including ours, that is working on policy recommendations. So the India, Compact Cities Electrified Scenario is a document that we've created where we're looking at 4 scenarios. So if our cities continue to focus and grow in the status quo, what would be the scenario and what would be the multi-fold increase in private vehicles? As well as congestion, pollution, road deaths, etc. We also looked at 3 other scenarios. One that focuses only on electrification, because there's been a huge drive towards electrification with multiple states adopting the EV policy. Then there are also cities that are focusing on sustainable mode, so improving public transportation, walking, cycling. But then the scenario of actually combining these two is the scenario that provides us the future that we seek. So we've developed this publication and we've been working, looking at collaborating with Mahua on taking this forward as well. There are multiple other organizations that's working. We've also seen that there are cities and states that are looking to test some of these. So low emission zones is a very new area for cities. The cities of Maharashtra, Pune and Pimpri Chinchwad are looking at how they can explore that particular aspect of things. Cities are looking at how parking management, which is again an area where cities have explored but not come up with really successful solutions. So there's a lot of innovation that is happening as we speak. The next couple of decades are extremely important in our cities, keeping up the momentum that the smart cities initiated. This is not a point where we can drop the ball. The next 2 decades are extremely critical to see if we can build on what the smart cities have set forth and reach the future that we want. When we talk about cities like Amsterdam, we might talk about how wonderful they are with mobility, but they've reached there after 3 to 4 decades of consistent action. So consistent action, which is self-motivated by political leaders, bureaucrats, and citizen groups with intelligent effort. So we need to make sure we're doing the right thing for a long duration, and I'm sure our cities one day would be the examples that we talk of as New York, Mexico City, cities of Denmark, Amsterdam, etc.
I think it's a very valid point. I think now people have realized that a smart city is a journey, not the goal, not the target which we have to achieve. It's a journey which will happen over a time, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, a long-term goal probably needs to be kept. And the kind of diverse, requirement of each cities, and the kind of projects which Government of India has taken, be it Amrut, Swachh Bharat Mission, Smart City Mission, Hriday, Prasad, all these schemes probably helping us to create many success stories. Every city is doing their own, lot of pockets, probably POCs getting done, sustainability, financial modeling, etc., which can be replicated actually, which can be learned from, and probably next phase of 4,000 cities, probably we should be able to replicate more success story actually and faster. Because 100 was obviously guinea pig probably, I should not use the word, but yeah, a lot more needs to be done. With that, probably I'll open the floor for a question. If any of you have a question with Raushan sir or Avasthi, probably please raise your hand and.
Madam, it's a question for you. Madam, walkability is the biggest threat across developing or a developed country. What is actually the biggest...
Sir, can I request you to identify yourself and then probably, yeah.
My name is Raghu and I'm from Bangalore. I work for Mod Foundation. And my question is, Madam, the walkability is the biggest threat, which you have embarked on a very good journey across the cities. But here the biggest threat is the parastatals, which is not integrated. So probably a smart cities comes and does something, and after that another parastatals comes and digs the same road. So the biggest threat is the utilities, which has no corridor, which has been done in the CDP. The master development plan has not allocated separate corridor for utilities. The problem is where shifting the utilities and creating the road infra or the walkability index. So here the integration of the parastatals and everybody working on the same page is what is important, which is failed, madam. So what do you suggest?
I think that is such a relevant question, because often when we talk about mobility, we only talk about the street and upwards. But there's a huge world that's happening below with stormwater drains, water supply, electrical lines, sewage, gas lines. So there's a whole world that happens, and each component is dealt with by a different department. So like Akhilesh had mentioned as well, we've begun the journey. If any of us think that with this year, as the smart city ends, we've ended where we want to go, that's not right. We've just started the journey. And through this journey, for example, when we were working with the cities, what our suggestion was to create an apex committee for each of these projects, where we would have representatives from each of these departments as well. we also recommend that the representatives remain the same across all of these committees, because sometimes we've noticed that, the water supply person this month is somebody, 3 months later there's another person who has no clue about the project. So to be honest, we're not in a perfect place, but we've begun, and we've begun by ensuring that can we bring all these institutions together in an apex committee, so that through the period of the project, there is consistent conversation between all of these departments. In these projects, we are focusing on conversion or movement of the utilities as well. Wherever possible and wherever the funds are available, we're making sure that the utilities are also integrated. Again, the city is massive. The city has thousands of kilometers of streets. What the smart cities have done, for example, even if I quote Pimpri Chinchwad, we've only been able to improve 120 kilometers of streets. There is a long journey ahead. Through this period, we've tried to give some of these foundations right. Now, we'll need to ensure that these apex committees function through the decades ahead. We should make sure that, the cells that are the working groups continue to get decisions from these apex committees and move this ahead as well. So there's a very right question. We're moving in this direction, but there's more to be done.
And there's a need for utility map across the cities, madam. None of the cities has utility maps.
Yeah,
So-
I completely agree. Utility mapping is an important task as well, and some cities are taking this on as we speak, but some who do not have the ability to create city-wide utility maps are making sure that as the networks are being redeveloped, the utility lines are mapped and then are transferred as necessary as well.
Just the next question after. Sure, sir. We'll come back to you. Please, ma'am.
Hi, thank you. It's a wonderful forum, and thank you for the insights. I've just returned from overseas, and I'm currently self-employed, coming from Faridabad, one of the identified smart cities. I just want to understand, when we're working on the smart cities, what is the initial, we talked about greenfield, brownfield strategy, but what does the municipal corporation of that particular smart city collaborates? Because Faridabad, when it developed, the greater Faridabad, sadly after 15 years, the situation of that city remains the same. And I also want to understand the governance structure that goes around. If private and public sector comes together working, who looks after, who takes the ownership of the governance, that the ongoing system, is sustainable and it continues to work. But then what is the time frame that, when we identify a smart city, we start working, we collaborate with the local forums, and then how do we maintain the governance overall?
You want to take that question? Yeah. Just to clarify, Garima ma'am is not here. The CEO of Faridabad is not here. But
Yeah,
sir would
that's-
like to answer you. Please.
Certainly, sure.
See, I have been in that position. In Ujjain, I was the commissioner of the corporation also, and by the virtue of the post, I was the ED of the smart city. So it's like both the bodies, the organizations go hand in hand. They can't work in silos. And at least I can speak about MP. In Madhya Pradesh, in all the 7 smart cities, we have the same structure. All the planning of the smart city works and the projects are done in consultation with not only corporation, but all the stakeholders of the city and of the district. For example, the public representatives, the prominent persons, the officers, and all the relevant stakeholders are taken on board. In terms of projects handover and maintenance and the upkeep, every project is unique in its own nature. For example, some of the projects are handed over to the municipal corporation after 2 years or 3 years. And you may be aware that every project has O&M period also after defect liability period. So 2 years or 5 years is the O&M period, and the agency who has built it has the responsibility of O&M. And that's being done under the monitoring of the ULB if it's handed over to the ULB. Some projects are handed over to some of the agencies. For example, if I speak about Ujjain, the whole corridor is now being looking after by the temple committee there. And likewise, every project has its own structure, and the taking over takes place. And it's working quite good, and the maintenance is taken care of all these projects. In terms of the conceptualization and the initiation of the projects, not only corporation, but as I said, the city's requirements are unique in terms of all the cities. So based on the requirement of the city, the project conceptualization is done, and every city is unique in their own terms. For example, if I speak about Ujjain, we had this Mahakal corridor, which is related to the cultural significance, and the whole lifeline of the city is based out of that project. Likewise, if I speak about Bhopal, in Bhopal we have Bhopal is the city of the lakes, and the lake conservation and the water body rejuvenation is the lifeline of the city. Likewise, every city has its own history and own story to tell. So I don't think there is an issue in the conceptualization and O&M and all these things. They are taken care of very smoothly, and all the projects are in good hands. I can assure that.
Thank you, sir. I think we have a last question from sir. I think we are running short of time, so you can conduct, please.
Hello, I am Purushottam Uttarwar. I retired as an Additional Commissioner Planning from Delhi Development Authority, and we were the first to float transit-oriented development policy. And my question is one, but I expect answer from both of you. Transit-oriented development policy and big talks like cycle, city walk, etc., they are very attractive. But mostly in cities, it has resulted in selling of FAR and nothing else. And in Delhi also, after even almost 7-8 years, and I was advisor to Gurgaon also, despite having a very good policies, there are no success rates. Because one of first thing, metro is very expensive. And then we are loading so much of cost on it to build the city, build the TOD or avail the TOD. So other instruments are much cheaper. So what are your thoughts? Because I don't see TOD implemented in a very large scale anywhere. Thank you.
So to be honest, yes, sir. Like with TOD, we're still in the journey of finding a solution that is contextual to the Indian scenario. There are multiple cities across the world that have implemented TOD successfully, but there isn't an example that in the Indian scenario has worked well. Yet, there are various cities that are testing these initiatives. Now, while there is a focus on FSI and FAR, there also needs to be a consistent focus on improving mobility, like improving transit, because transit-oriented development cannot happen without transit. Often there are some cities that make the mistake by thinking that even corridors which are like highway corridors could be treated as transit-oriented developments. But transit-oriented developments need to happen across transit, and transit means not just a metro, because metro, because of its price, like you rightly pointed out, it still remains inaccessible to large parts of our population. So we do need to have a very strong backbone of highly frequented, high frequency, good quality bus network to make sure that people are able to access the metro and then go beyond, and also like in case they don't unable to access the metro, are able to use that as well. Along with this, one of the pieces that is very critical is parking. Most international cities where transit-oriented developments are well implemented, they do have maximum parking caps, because the aim is to nudge and encourage citizens to use public transportation and not use the private vehicles itself. So cities are now, we're looking at helping cities in reducing the minimum parking supply and move more and more towards having maximum parking supply, at least on transit-oriented, corridors and development. So like you said, sir, this is a journey. Cities have just started. It is going to be a longer term story, but there are cities that are working towards it. And Chennai, for example, is one where the city is creating a comprehensive mobility plan as we speak. It is also creating a master plan, and it is also creating the transit-oriented development plan. So by making sure that all of these three elements come together, it then gives it a greater chance of success, because each of these plans need to speak to one another to make sure that our results are in the right direction.
Thank you, sir. I think we are running short of time. There's another session planned here, so we need to probably finish this session. Sir and Aswathy is here. Please, you can connect with them. With this, I would like to thank you, sir, and thanks Aswathy for such an encouraging session and interactive session.